our support staff, our guests. I'll introduce them in a minute, and everybody who's on the platform, good morning, and you're most welcome. Let me take this opportunity to greet and welcome Honorable Minister Senzo Mchunu, Deputy Minister David Mahlobo, the DG Mr. Phillips, and the whole DWS team on the platform. Thank you very much for availing yourselves to engage with the Standing Committee on Appropriations on the 2022 Appropriation Bill. Minister, I don't think we can overemphasize the importance of water. Water is life, and unfortunately, I haven't found any substitute of water. Science hasn't progressed that far, so water shedding is not an option. Most of us grew up without electricity, but none of us would have been here without water. So it's a very important resource. Hence, Parliament allocate resources for water and sanitation. So that's the process that we're busy with at the moment, looking at the 2022 Appropriation Bill. And the committee decided that they would like to engage with your good selves. And obviously, there is a letter that was written to you as a basis of your presentation. And after that presentation, obviously, the members of the committee engage with the presentation. And we again give you an opportunity to respond to whatever issues that would have been raised by the honorable members. I think that's a brief introduction to our engagement today. Darren, do we have any apologies?
Chairperson, yes. Ms. Gyani indicated that she will join the meeting a little bit late. And then I received an apology from Ms. Peters. She has a doctor's appointment. That's it, Chairperson. Thank you.
Let's note those apologies. If there are other apologies coming in, I think we'll have to note them before we adjourn the meeting, because I know other members are struggling with connectivity. Honorable Minister, we'll take the meeting to you, and you'll decide how you you engage with your presentation. Just a few housekeeping rules. One, whoever is talking would like that both his mic and video are on. That's important. To the rest of us who are not talking, if we could have our microphones off, so that we don't disturb the speaker. Honorable Minister, you have got, and your team, you have got about 45 minutes maximum to go through your presentation, and it's only after your team has finished that you'll bring the meeting back to me. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Take us through your presentation.
Thank you very much, Shenge, the chair of SCOA. We appreciate this opportunity and your attention as a committee to, as we engage with you on this matter of the allocation of this year. And honorable members, the deputy ministers, DG, everybody on the platform. Shanga, this budget comes at a time when...
Matlingane, can I interrupt you?
Okay.
Please just, you have two deputy ministers? Do you have two deputy ministers? Or is only Mahlobo?
Oh, yes. It does look like there's Mahlobo only. Medically, it will come later for the portfolio committee.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to
Yeah.
deal with
I'm used to greeting both of them all the time. We work together like that. Thank you very much. I was saying that number one, we appreciate the time. We appreciate the opportunity to engage with you. Secondly, to say we're at a time in terms of water and sanitation services in the country where we have to unpack things a little bit. We want to start by what has been characterizing provision of these services by our government at all levels. One, it is that from where we sit, we are better off as a country, generally speaking, when it comes to water resource management than we are when it comes to water services, water and sanitation services. That distinction is very important, particularly in this meeting, because as details will show, it reflects the kind of attention that the country and government has been giving to water resource management. That is your dams, your rivers, all of that. While on the other hand, the services, which is provision of water services to households, has been tracking behind. The second distinction that needs to be made is that generally national government has been attending to water resources over years, whereas water services are a responsibility, generally speaking, not constitutionally speaking, in terms of allocation of duties. It has been a responsibility of municipalities, your metros, your districts, and your local municipalities. Those that are water service authorities. They are the ones who have been presiding over water services. That is reticulation in the main to households. Now, just looking at the two distinctions, it's necessary to add that it is common cause in the country that municipalities have not and are not doing well in the country. It is acknowledged by all of us. They are not doing well as a sphere of government in a number of instances. That's why you put some of them under Section 139. That's where there are different challenges that are to the country but reflect via municipalities as a result of their own performance, or rather their own non-performance in a number of instances in terms of their duties. And after this, it is then necessary to proceed and say, we have committed ourselves as a department, firstly, to shape ourselves up for the tasks ahead via strengthening the department, both in terms of vacancies and also in terms of systems, monitoring systems, particularly those that have to do with accountability, so that we avoid things like fruitless, irregular, and all other expenditures that are not regarded as part of good governance in the department. But for our own sake, act responsibly regarding the finances allocated to us, rooting out corruption and all other related matters. We have therefore filled the post of Director General, which we found vacant. We have also filled the position of CFO, which we found acted upon over a long time. We have filled up the post of DDG Corporate Services, which was also on an acting basis. We've also filled up the position of DTG Water and Sanitation Services, and the incumbent is starting on the 1st of June, just a few weeks from now. We've also filled up the post of DTG Regulations, Compliance and Enforcement. We are left with only one DTG, that of Infrastructure, because of a case that has been dragging on, but has been finalized. It's a question of finalizing the minor details so that we can advertise and fill up the post. We have also sought to review water boards from a number of fronts, but aiming at making water boards render services that municipalities are not able to render as per appropriate arrangement. We have also sought to intervene where we deem it necessary via Section 63. As of now, we are intervening in Kopanong. We are going to be intervening in Mashabeng. That is Machabeng in the Free State. We have identified 6 priorities in Mangaung. We're intervening in Umkanyagute. Yesterday, we signed off in our intervention in Gqeberha, that is Nelson Mandela Bay. We're engaging Tswane. So there are a number of these interventions. As I speak to you, we are out in Limpopo for 4 days. We are implementing and assessing progress in what we are implementing already, which is quite a number of projects, including Gyani. We are all over on those matters as I speak. Now, we don't have enough budget, but the one that has been allocated to us over the MTF, we are going to be outlining how this is going to necessitate that we intervene, firstly on infrastructure, which municipalities are complaining about by and large, which is their duties, their own infrastructure, not bulk infrastructure that is managed by us to a large extent, but infrastructure that is under the responsibility and competence of municipalities. But they are complaining that either their infrastructure is old, losing water up to 42%, or it's just dysfunctional altogether, and a number of other challenges around that. On Wednesday, for instance, we will be in Musina to look at their infrastructure. We already know in terms of reports that their infrastructure was last reviewed or revamped in 1982. And therefore, it's on those matters that we are saying we can no longer stand or sit in Pretoria and watch over water services and sanitation services getting into shambles, and therefore ending the department and the government and the country as a whole a bad name in the altar of different spheres playing their own role. We're no longer into that mode. We're in the mode of saying where water and sanitation has anything to do, we are there, but we will work with municipalities even where we are intervening in terms of Section 63, coupled with 139. We will work with them, but we won't stand by and watch. So therefore, from us, it's no longer going to be, no, that burst pipe, that those leaks, that poor service, or that failure to provide water and sanitation services. Talk to the mayor there, talk to MM. We're no longer playing that game. We are into everywhere where there's water, where there's sanitation, but working with municipalities, because we understand that from the point of view of people generally in the country, people just say, government is not doing this, is not doing that. They don't care whether it is local or provincial or national. They just want services. And it is known that finally the Constitution makes the department and the Minister of Water and Sanitation the final arbiter in terms of accountability on water. So we are going to be dealing with infrastructure. We take a cue from the summit we held in 1819 at Kalaka Estates nationally, where all municipalities, after our visits and work sessions with all of them in the per province on 3 work day sessions, they were saying to us, we don't have capacity, meaning we don't have numbers of people who work on water. Those that are there, they don't have skills. Those that have skills, they have minor skills. They don't have maximum skills, like they are engineers, they're what, which is required by water, particularly water services. And so we are going to be dealing with infrastructure with the budget that has been allocated to us. We are going to be, infrastructure in particular. You will see what is in terms of infrastructure for bulk services, which we are prioritizing all over in all the provinces. We know which bulk infrastructure or key projects that we are dealing with in each of the provinces. But then part of it also goes to municipalities via RBIC and WISIC to deal with water services and sanitation there. We also have developed a national sanitation framework, which was not there, to make sure that we work on a particular framework when it comes to sanitation, identifying criteria, norms and standards, and all of that. So DG will then present the details on a number of aspects. It's a very long presentation, more than 50 slides. So DG, I then request that you make the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. We're just trying to deal with the echo. Thank you, Minister. Good morning, honorable members.
DG, you are not coming across. DG?
This area of Pulawan has problems of network, Mr.
I thought that he was in a supportive environment.
Chairperson, we're just trying to bring up the presentation. We're struggling a bit here with the technology. We won't be a minute.
Yeah, you're not bad, but you can improve. DG, are you getting it? DG. Well, I don't know what's wrong. Oh yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Chairperson, can you see the presentation?
Yes,
yes, it is.
Chairperson, can you see the presentation? Can I start?
Yes, please start. Yes, start.
Yeah, it is coming up. Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
DG.
Okay, thank you. Chairperson, this is the information that was requested from us by the committee in the letter of invitation. We were asked to appraise the committee on the overall possible service delivery implications of the proposed allocation of our MTF budget. We were asked to appraise the committee on the status of the Gyani bulk water project, the Hammanskraal water crisis, and the pollution of the Vaal River system. We were also requested to provide the actual expenditure thus far and planned future expenditure of each of these projects. We were asked to appraise the committee on the status of the provision of water services as a prominent feature of the DDM. We were asked to provide a status and location of the 2 mega 24 and 28 small regional infrastructure projects, associated costs of those projects and their locations per province and region. We were asked to provide a detailed account of the proposed 2.1 billion towards acid mine drainage and other capital projects, to appraise the committee on the status and number of funded vacancies within the department and their maturity profile, engineering capacity per category within the department. We were asked to provide a brief overview regarding the status of a number of funded vacancies within the department and their maturity profile. The status of water infrastructure in South Africa, to provide a brief overview on the program of ending of the bucket system in South Africa with clear timeframes, and any other relevant information that may assist the committee in processing the bill. In addition, we were asked to provide a brief overview on whether we've over or underspent on our allocated budget in the previous fiscal year, and if so, the reasons for such over or under expenditure, as well as corrective measures. We were asked to give an indication of the contribution of the department to the Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, to BBBEE and localization of goods and services. We were asked to answer the question of whether there are any legal impediments to DWS achieving economic transformation, and if yes, what are proposals to address this, and whether DWS is renting or owning the buildings that it's occupying and the cost implications of that. So in the rest of the presentation, we provide all this information divided into an introductory section, a section on the status of water and sanitation infrastructure and services in South Africa, some information on corporate services, information on our financial allocation and our service delivery plans, on the grant-funded projects, on the 3 projects that we were requested to provide information on: the Gyani project, the Hammanskraal water challenges and Vaal intervention, and on the bucket eradication, and then finally on transformation issues. The Minister has largely covered the summary of our key strategic priorities. Just to add a couple of points, we have submitted, we will be submitting the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency bill to Parliament during this year, we hope. It's currently on the agenda of Cabinet. Will be served before Cabinet shortly, with a request for Cabinet to approve that it be issued for public consultation. We are on making progress towards creating the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency, the aim of which will be to enable the department to raise much more money in the financial markets to fund the large bulk water infrastructure investments that are required to ensure that South Africa has water security in the future. As indicated by the Minister, our major new focus, or our major increased focus, is on supporting and intervening in municipalities where municipal water and sanitation services are failing. And in that regard, related to that, we will also be focusing on strengthening our regulatory interventions to address pollution of the environment and communities from wastewater. We'll also continue to improve our water use license turnaround times and to promote transformation in water use, and there'll be more on that in the presentation later. A major priority for us, as well as increasing the bulk supply of water, is simultaneously to increase water use efficiency and demand and conservation management. It's very ineffective for government to spend billions investing in bulk water resource infrastructure if 35 or 40% of that water is then thrown away through water losses at municipal level. And then finally, in addition to the points made by the Minister, as the accounting officer and together with the Chief Financial Officer, we are prioritizing reducing irregular, unauthorized and wasteful expenditure and ensuring consequence management for financial misconduct. And very importantly, we need to, across the whole water value chain, improve financial sustainability, which is the problems with billing and revenue collection at municipal level result in a cascading lack of financial sustainability across the whole water value chain. And it's a major priority for us to address that. Turning to the second section, which is the status of water and sanitation infrastructure and services in South Africa. Again, the Minister has partly covered this, the fact that national water resource infrastructure and water board infrastructure are generally in a much better condition than municipal water and sanitation infrastructure, and that we've historically focused more on the planning, delivery, and operation of national water resource infrastructure as the department than on municipal water and sanitation services. As indicated by the Minister, we are in the process of planning and implementing a wide range of major projects to augment national bulk water resource infrastructure to ensure that challenges with municipal water and sanitation service delivery are not further exacerbated by a shortage of bulk water. But as we'll describe in the following slides, many municipalities are failing to deliver water and sanitation services to national norms and standards in the system, and the situation is generally deteriorating. With regard to the infrastructure which is under our direct control, we manage a bulk water infrastructure portfolio with an estimated value of 109 billion. And there are statutory requirements for our trading entity, the water trading entity, which owns this portfolio, to conduct a review of the useful life, the condition, and the net book value of all of our assets every financial year. And we've developed a methodology for that annual review, which concludes at the end of May each year. In the following slide, we provide the information on the condition of our infrastructure for the 2021 financial year. Just for the committee to note, we are now doing these condition surveys using internal resources rather than service providers like we did in the past. The process that we use has been accepted by the Auditor General, and we use this condition information as the main source of information to plan for our maintenance, rehabilitation, and upgrades of our infrastructure. We do have an asset register with 29,901 items on it, which include all the buildings, canals, dams, measuring facilities, pipelines, power supply facilities, pump station, reservoirs, roads and bridges, tunnels, and water treatment, which are all part of our national water resource infrastructure that we're directly responsible for. So this is the condition of the national water resource infrastructure. You can see from the information here that most of our infrastructure is either in a good, very good, or fair condition. But we do have a number of assets which are in a poor condition, and they're being prioritized for replacement over the medium term. Very old assets, some of them. And those are mostly canals which distribute irrigation water, and work is being done with the infrastructure fund as well. Under Infrastructure South Africa, located in the DBSA, to try and partner with the private sector and financial institutions to put in place blended finance mechanisms to upgrade and rehabilitate this canal system. Because the water from the canals does have revenue generating capabilities, and there's potential therefore to put in place blended finance to address it. Turning to the state of municipal water and sanitation services, however, the picture is different. And the 2018 National Water and Sanitation Master Plan indicated that in many municipalities, water and sanitation services are in a poor state. We've made very good progress since 1994 in terms of increasing access to water infrastructure, with more than 90% of households now having access to the RDP level of water services. But the big problem that we have is that the reliability of the water service coming from that infrastructure has deteriorated and is continuing to deteriorate. So that now 35% of our people don't have access to reliable drinking water. And this is because of the reliability problem, that while the infrastructure might be there, often water doesn't come out of the tap, or the water that does come out of the tap is not of adequate quality. And this is related to problems with pollution, problems with the maintenance of water treatment works and wastewater treatment works. In 2018, 56% of our wastewater treatment works were in a poor or critical condition, and 44% of our water treatment works were in a poor critical condition, with 11% dysfunctional. Chairperson, we recently reintroduced the green drop and blue drop assessments, and we issued the first reintroduced green drop assessment report in March of this year, which indicates that these figures have deteriorated further since 2018, and that even more of the wastewater treatment works on a poor critical condition. And we also issued a progress report on our blue drop assessment, which also indicates that the initial indication is that the water treatment infrastructure is also further deteriorated at municipal level. We'll be issuing the final blue drop report by March next year. And as I indicated, one of the major problems is a lack of financial state sustainability, which is partly due to weak billing and revenue collection and water losses at municipal level. So in 2018, 41% of municipal water didn't generate revenue, and 35% was lost through leakages. We are also reintroducing the no drop system, where we thoroughly analyze the extent of water losses across all municipalities, and that report will also be issued next year. It's currently underway. The underlying causes of these challenges with regard to the state of municipal water and sanitation services include governance challenges at municipal level, weak asset management. I've mentioned weak billing and revenue collection, weaknesses with operations management, a lack of maintenance, and people with the required qualifications and experience not being recruited. This is how it looked in terms of in 2020, in terms of our municipal assessments and information obtained from SALGA, and that in 2020, 57 out of 144 municipal water services authorities were failing or at high risk of failing. And we're familiar with the results of this, with sewage spilling into both into the environment and into people's homes even, and into the streets. The lack of reliability of water supply means that people still have to, in some places, people still have to get water from rivers, often unsafe drinking water, or at risk of being attacked by wild animals in some areas. Or the water that does come out of the tap is not fit for human consumption. So as I've mentioned, we have reintroduced intensive monitoring of the condition of municipal water and sanitation infrastructure through our green drop, blue drop, and no drop processes. We reintroduced these in 2021 after they were stopped in 2013. And the next slides will provide the status. This slide describes the green drop certification standards and requirements. Honourable members can see that the green drop assessment is very thorough. It looks across 5 different performance areas, so it's quite comprehensive. It looks at issues such as technical management.
DG?
Yes, Chairperson.
Sorry to interrupt you. I thought I was going to ask you at the end of your presentation, but it's important because you keep on referring it for the benefit of the members, but most importantly, the public is listening to you as you are talking. Can you please just say, what do you use the green and the blue drop for? What information does that do they give you? So that as you make your presentation, we make sure that we're in the same wavelength. I know being in the department, those are the things that you use on a daily basis, but please educate all of us, then you can continue. Thank you very much. Sorry for that, DG.
No, thank you, Chairperson. The green drop assesses the condition of wastewater systems across the country. Wastewater systems are basically the sewage systems at municipal level across the country. The blue drop assessments assess the condition and the service provided of water treatment systems, water provision systems. So the green drop is wastewater and the blue drop is water systems. And what we use them for is we comprehensively look at both with the green drop at wastewater, with blue drop at water, and we comprehensively look at the state of the infrastructure, at the state of management of the infrastructure, the state of management of the service in terms of issues such as the technical management, whether the technical managers have the required qualifications, whether it's being managed properly in terms of having maintenance plans in place, whether the water quality and the wastewater quality is being adequately monitored and actions are taken on the basis of it, whether they are effectively collecting the revenue that they should be collecting from providing sanitation services and selling water. So what it results in is a very comprehensive green drop report and a very comprehensive blue drop report, which not only provide municipalities with detailed information on what are the problems with their wastewater services and their water services, but also what are the causes of those problems. And also we include in the report what needs to be done about them. So the blue drop and the green drop reports are a very strong tool for supporting municipalities to improve, because we engage with the worst performing municipalities about the results of their green drop and blue drop assessments. And those assessments give the municipalities all the information they need in terms of informing them of what they need to focus on and what they need to address in order to improve their water and sanitation services. So our green drop findings, as I indicated, we released the first green drop findings since 2013 in March of this year, 2022. And you can see from these slides here that in 2011, 56% in 2011 with regard to the scores, it went from 56% red in 2011 to 49% red in 2013. So there was a slight improvement from 2011 to 2013, but then it's become markedly worse from 2013 to 2021. We think the slight improvement from 2011 to 2013 was because of municipalities using the results of the green drop report to improve between 2011 and 2013. But since then, things have become worse. And the number of municipalities performing well increased marginally from 44% to 51% 2011 to 2013, but has decreased to 36% in 2011. What we have found, interestingly, Chairperson, is that there's a strong correlation between the availability of technical skills in the municipalities and the green drop performance. So this slide summarizes the green drop report. The areas in red are areas with a very low green drop score, and the areas in green are areas with a high green drop score. So you can see that we have a very alarming situation across the country with a number of municipalities which are scoring very low in terms of their green drop results on their wastewater treatment systems. So 39% of wastewater treatment systems in municipalities across the country are classified in terms of the green drop assessment as being in a critical condition. Sorry, Chair, I'm just trying to go to the next slide. Sorry, Chair, it just seems to have frozen. I'm trying to get it to come back.
Did you?
Sorry, it's frozen on my computer. I'm just trying to get it to come back. Can someone else, perhaps if I can move to someone else's computer? Sorry, it won't be a minute. Okay, I've moved to another computer. I've moved to another computer. Let's see if I can get it to work here. We need to enable Sigwaza, please. Okay. It should be showing again now, Chairperson. Can you see it?
Yes, DG. DG, you can see it, you can proceed.
Chairperson, hopefully you can see I'm now on slide 18, the green drop conclusions. I hope you can hear me and see it on the screen. As I've indicated, we as DWS will use the green drop report as the performance baseline for municipal water, sanitation services, and that we'll work with municipalities to use the plans as a basis for improvement. And we'll also ensure that grant funding for the water sector is allocated with the objective of restoring functionality of wastewater infrastructure. We'll also, as the department, we want to make better use of Section 19 of the National Water Act to ensure that directives are issued with timeframes for implementation, and failure to respond will trigger remedial action being taken at the cost of the non-complying or entity or municipality. We are enabled by the National Water Act to do this, but we haven't been doing it systematically and comprehensively in the past. We've been doing it on an ad hoc basis, and we want to move towards much more systematic and comprehensive use of Section 19 of the National Water Act. We're hoping that, as it did before, the reintroduction of the green drop certification as an incentive-based regulation program itself results in municipalities starting to address issues related to the condition of their wastewater treatment systems. Similarly, with the blue drop, I won't go into the detail here, but similarly, the blue drop looks at a variety of different key performance areas related to the provision of water at municipal level, ranging from whether the required technical staff are there, whether they have the right technical processes in place, such as measuring the quality of the water being produced and taking corrective action if it doesn't meet the quality requirements, etc., as well as the condition of the infrastructure. So far, we're in the middle of the Blue Drop certification process. We will be issuing the final Blue Drop report in March 2023. The initial results which we've received from the municipalities, which we still need to check in detail with them, which we're in the process of doing now, do indicate that there's been a deterioration in the condition of water supply infrastructure at municipal level since the last results were published in 2013. As I've indicated, we're also reintroducing the no drop report, which will be published in 2023. And the no drop report focuses on identifying what is the condition of the municipal water infrastructure with regard to water leakages and non-revenue water. So again, it identifies per municipality what are the key issues with regard to their water losses and non-revenue water, how much, to the extent possible, how much water are they losing through losses, and how much revenue are they losing through non-revenue water, what are the causes of it, and what should the municipalities do to address the problems. In addition to the green and blue drop and no drop reports, Chairperson, we also want to, as I indicated, become generally much more systematic and comprehensive with regard to our support and intervention to municipalities. As the national government, between DWS and our entities such as the water boards. To date, national and provincial interventions and support to municipalities with regard to water and sanitation services have generally not been effective at halting the deterioration and turning it around. So, for example, there's been repeated 6-month administrator interventions in terms of Section 139 of the Constitution in the Makana municipality in the Eastern Cape. But that has not solved the problem of the dysfunctionality of water and sanitation services in that municipality. And we think that we haven't in the past optimally utilized our blue drop and green drop and no drop instruments. We haven't created sufficiently systematic links between the results of monitoring and support measures and interventions. And we haven't yet been able to develop the capacity and the systems to rapidly respond to emergency situations such as sewage spillages in residential areas. And the interventions that do take place tend to be ad hoc and uncoordinated, and we need to address that. There are norms and standards for water and sanitation services, but they need to be strengthened so that it's very clear to municipalities what is the minimum required of them. And they need to be broadened as well to include issues such as the minimum technical and experience qualifications of a person such as the manager of a wastewater treatment works. The overall conclusion from this, Chairperson, is that we can't carry on with the national support and intervention as it is and expect a different result. Because over the years, we've shown that the way we've been supporting intervening municipalities has not been sufficiently effective because it hasn't reversed the deterioration in water and sanitation services. So we're going to have to do things differently if we expect a different result. There are constitutional and legislative imperatives for national government support and intervention in municipal water and sanitation services. I won't go through all the detail here, but in summary, the Constitution, read together with the National Water Act and the Water Services Act, indicate that while municipalities are responsible for water services, water and sanitation services, the national government also has a duty to provide support to municipalities, has a duty to put in place minimum norms and standards, and also has a duty to intervene in municipalities where the minimum norms and standards are not being met. So to try and do things differently in future and become much more effective and systematic with regard to our support and interventions in municipalities, we have developed over the past few months a water services improvement program, which consists of 4 key elements. Firstly, we're in the process of updating and putting in place more comprehensive norms and standards for water and sanitation services. Secondly, we are going to be putting in place a publicly visible national regulatory dashboard showing the extent of compliance with national norms and standards for water services across all the water services authorities, drawing on existing monitoring information, including our green and blue drop and no drop reports, information collected by National Treasury about municipalities, and COGTA reports. We are acutely aware that municipalities are already overburdened with reporting requirements. So the creation of this national regulatory dashboard won't result in any new additional reporting requirements being put on municipalities. We will use data from the existing reports that municipalities provide. And then on the basis of the information in that national regulatory dashboard, through our DWS regional offices, which are based on the provincial boundaries, we will put in place rolling regional support and intervention plans, focusing on those municipalities in particular which are the least compliant with the national norms and standards. So we are calling them rolling plans because they need to be adjusted continuously over time as the situation changes on the ground in municipalities. So each of our regional offices will put in place a plan for the municipalities in its province, saying that depending on the problems in the different municipalities, as illustrated in the National Regulatory Dashboard, various types of support and intervention will be implemented in the municipalities where the support and intervention is needed. And at the same time, we want to work together with National Treasury, with COGTA, with MISA, to put in place a range of support programs at national level, which our provincial officers can draw on to provide the support to municipalities. These rolling regional support and intervention plans that will be developed by our regional officers will be thoroughly consulted with the provincial governments and also consulted with the DDM structures. So this is a new program that we're putting in place in response to the new strategic direction for the department provided by the minister, where we need to become much more systematic and effective in terms of our support and intervention at municipal level. And the program at the current time is at an early stage of implementation. The type of support we want to provide to municipalities under the Water Services Improvement Program include offering municipalities appropriate training programs for managers and technical staff, assisting municipalities to improve their procurement and contract management, and to contract in the required professional services, construction capacity, operations and maintenance capacity, and management skills more effectively. We've also recently established a Water Partnerships Office in collaboration with the DBSA and SALGA to support municipalities to enter into PPPs with the private sector so that they can draw on the private sector skills and finance in the private sector to assist them with the delivery of water services. That requires particular skills such as financial structuring skills, the ability to produce feasibility studies for PPPs and put in place appropriate contracts for PPPs. Most municipalities don't have these skills. The Water Partnerships Office is going to be a center where they're going to recruit people with those required skills and offer those skills to municipalities to help them to put in place more PPPs in the water and sanitation sector. We are also going to be increasingly requesting our water boards to act as support and implementation agents. We are already doing that to a limited extent. For example, Rand Water, as you will hear just now, Chairperson, is currently our implementation agent for our intervention in the Vaal in Mfuleni municipality to address the sanitation challenges there. We are also going to explore the use of water services committees as provided for in the Water Services Act to enable communities to be actively engaged in the provision of water services and mutual partnerships with the private sector and relevant stakeholders. We haven't yet used as a country this provision in the Water Services Act for water services committees much, and there may be potential to use it more so that municipalities can partner with their communities to improve their water and sanitation services. We also need to particularly focus with National Treasury and COGTA and MISA to provide stronger support to municipalities to improve their billing and revenue collection. And under the leadership of our minister, we've recently started a public-private collaboration program, again through our regional offices, which is about partnering with the private sector on a non-commercial basis, where the private sector and civil society offer assistance without financial gain for them to help government to be able to improve the delivery of water and sanitation services. And this program has already resulted in some major partnerships with mines and agriculture in some parts of the country. And we want to take it to scale across the country in the coming months. And then we want to increasingly ensure that grants, all the grants, a lot of money goes to grants, as you'll hear just now, Chairperson. It goes in grants to municipalities for water and sanitation infrastructure. And we'd like to see that the allocation of those grants is more effectively used to address non-compliance with norms and standards and to provide incentives for addressing problems such as non-revenue water. In terms of intervention, currently we do ad hoc interventions, but we want to move towards much more systematic interventions where we have defined breaches of the national norms and standards in terms of when municipalities are not maintaining and operating their water and sanitation infrastructure properly or not meeting the quality requirements in terms of water supply or wastewater treatment effluent. So that when there's a material breach, there's automatically a certain action, which would be a directive to the municipality to address the breach. When there's a serious material breach, a recovery plan would be imposed. And if there's a serious and persistent material breach, DWS will both impose a recovery plan and assume responsibility for implementation of the recovery plan. Turning to the information related to corporate services, which was requested by the committee. We have made good progress since the minister was appointed in August last year, Chairperson, to fill vacant positions in the department. Our DG position was filled from January this year, our CFO position from February this year. The DDG Water Services and DDG Regulation Compliance were just a week or so ago approved by Cabinet for filling. The only DDG position which we have vacant at the moment is one where the official has been charged with a variety of charges related to financial misconduct, is on suspension, and the disciplinary process has been underway and is now nearing finalization. Our other DDGs for corporate services and water resource management positions are filled. All of our regional heads positions are filled, and our key chief directorates, such as internal audit and risk management, are also filled. So I think it's safe to say, Chairperson, that the department is much more stable from an organizational point of view now than it was a year or two ago. We were also asked to provide information on engineering and technicians filled in vacant posts. This information is provided in this slide and this slide. I won't go into detail, but suffice it to say that generally speaking, we have a fair amount of capacity in terms of engineering skills. We have the overall vacancy rate is about 18%, which is relative to elsewhere in government is fair, although we want to address this and make sure that all the positions are filled. We've also asked to provide information about funded vacancies. And the way that we've approached this is to say that we provided information on our budget for the compensation of our employees. In other words, the budget that we have for personnel expenditure. And as you can see from the table, we spent 94% of our compensation budget last financial year, meaning that we had a low funded vacancy rate at the end of the financial year. But also we had to consider the fact that if you look at our personnel budget over the MTF, you can see that it's decreasing. It goes from 1.854 billion in 21-22 down to 1.836 billion in 22-23 and down further to 1.742 billion in 23-24, which means that we had to be very careful with the filling of posts in the 21-22 financial year because we can't overspend on our personnel budget in later years. So we actually couldn't hire more people in 21-22 and fully utilize our personnel budget in 21-22 because that would have resulted in us overspending on our personnel budget in the later financial years. But the overall picture from this is that we have very little, we don't really have any unfunded vacancies. We have very little room to hire any additional staff. And with our declining compensation budgets over the MTF, we're only going to be able to hire additional staff as and when retirements and resignations, and in other words, natural attrition, create space for hiring additional staff. We were also asked to provide information about our office buildings. Our head office is currently located in 7 rented buildings, all rented through the Department of Public Works at a cost of 135 million per annum. And we also rent buildings for our regional offices through the Department of Public Works at a total cost of 98 million per annum. We do own some houses ourselves, which are used by staff working at the dams and for the DWS construction units, which are located around the country. And we also own 3 small office buildings in Pretoria, one in Pretoria West used for stores and archives, the Roodeplaat Training Center, which is used for the training of staff, and the Resource Quality Information Center, which includes a laboratory. We have initiated a process together with the Department of Public Works and the PPP unit in National Treasury to acquire a new single office building for our head office in Pretoria. And that process is underway, but it's being managed by the Department of Public Works together with the PPP units in National Treasury. Chairperson, I'd now like to hand over to our CFO to present on the financial allocations and service delivery plans over the 2022 MTF. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG, and good morning. I'll be taking the committee through the medium-term expenditure allocations as well as the implications on service delivery. Over the MTF, the department has been allocated 59.6 billion, which comprises of compensation of employees, of which 5.4 billion has been allocated. Goods and services over the MTF is 5.5 billion, transfers and subsidies to 34.9 billion, and allocation for payment for capital assets is 13.7 billion over the MTF. The net change to the voted baseline amounts to 1.1 billion, and in the main, that is due to the additional allocations which was provided to the department through the budget facility for infrastructure, comprising of an allocation for RBIC towards George Local Municipality, as well as the raising of Glen William Dam, and towards Lepelle Northern Water Board for the upgrade of Olifants and Ebenezer water supply schemes. The other allocation was for Umgeni Water Board to implement the Umkomazi bulk water supply scheme, and that is 193 million in the current financial year. This slide depicts the allocation per program, and economic classification is the same amount of 59.6 billion. I won't go into the details, only to indicate that a bulk of the allocation is towards transfers and subsidies, which is consistent with what Minister and DG have been indicating, that there's more focus on municipalities, since most of our allocations are also allocated to the sphere of government. The slide here depicts the allocation for infrastructure, both on the regional bulk infrastructure grant, 5.9 billion for the current year, as well as water service infrastructure grant. There are also allocations for the same grants which are dispersed through our water boards, hence the focus on aligning the work of the water boards, as well as putting more capacity to enable them to deliver on the mandate of the department. We also have allocations towards the water trading entity, which DG spoke to, and the total allocation with COBWA included is 10.3 billion over the MTF. The next slide is a provincial split of the allocation, both the direct allocation to local government, which is 8.1 billion over the MTF with all various municipalities depicted there. And we also have allocations in the grants that we allocate in kind, where we appoint either municipalities or water boards to implement the infrastructure projects. Those are allocated under Schedule 6B of the Division of Revenue Act, and the total allocation is 10.8 billion. Included therein is also allocation for bucket eradication. On the water service infrastructure grant, the allocation over the MTF per province, direct allocation to local government is 11.6 billion, and 6B allocations, the indirect allocations, those are 2.4 billion. And again, this grant includes also allocation towards the bucket eradication program in the Free State as well as Northern Cape Province. The other question that we had to respond to was the service delivery implication over the MTF. The department will contribute immensely towards service delivery with the 59.6 billion that has been allocated in all the 9 provinces. That is done through the provision of water to communities, and will continue to focus on enhancing regulatory measures. There's also efforts to ensure effective management of wastewater through enforcing various regulatory measures. There's also the department expects to support 32 district municipalities, as well as ensuring that 80% of the applications to authorize water use are finalized within 90 days, and that 963 wastewater systems are assessed for compliance against green rope regulatory requirements, which DG elaborated on. The other 2 points relates to the mega projects, large projects, small projects that we'll be implementing over the MTF. Under expenditure in the 21-22 financial year and corrective measures put by the department, the unaudited results that we have closed the financial year with reflects that we have spent 15.2 billion, of the adjusted allocation of 17.3 billion, which translates into underspending of 2.5 billion. That underspending comprises of compensation of employees, 112 million, which DG also spoke to, indicating that we are also constrained to fill some of the posts, and all the funded posts have been filled as indicated in the earlier presentation. Goods and services relates mainly to allocation that was made towards the Vaal River intervention for the OPEX work that had to be done. And we also have 1.6 billion that was underspent on various projects in various provinces. The measures that we have put in place to address the under expenditure, senior management positions as indicated earlier on have been filled, and all other critical funded posts as well are being filled in line with the approved allocation over the MTF. With regard to the CAPEX and goods and services, there is an alignment and timely implementation of the annual performance plans, aligning those to procurement plans, but there's also concerted effort on project management, which DG also reflected on. Minister also indicated priorities that we are putting across key projects nationally, where the department has put considerable effort and capacity to ensure that the underspending that we anticipate in other projects due to various reasons can be timely be reallocated to those projects that are able to absorb the budget early in the year to avoid a recurrence of this under expenditure. And there are also further interventions on the water boards as well as municipalities. Those are the key implementing agents of the department that relates to governance as well as internal control measures that the department is working with the water boards to ensure that they improve also their capacity to deliver. DG also spoke to the efforts that we are making to ensure that municipalities are able to deliver on the grants that are being allocated to them. The department's contribution to economic reconstruction and recovery plan, the department is contributing in various ways. First, through the strengthening of the capacity of the state, the department is working with various institutions, mainly the water boards, as indicated earlier on, to build their capacity to be able to deliver on the mandate of the department. We also contribute towards facilitating economic growth and investment. That has to do with the issuing of water use licenses, as indicated earlier on, the turnaround times. We're also putting in measures in place to ensure that the agency is expedited, the establishment thereof. And also we do contribute to skills development and job creation through our learning academy, which is offering various engineering and scientist bursaries and training opportunities. Through the infrastructure allocation of 47 billion, we project approximately 20,000 jobs to be created, direct and indirect, through the department's allocations. The elimination of improper expenditure that was spoken to, that we have put in systems of internal control to ensure that we prevent and detect incidents of unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. The current backlog of historic cases are being attended to together with National Treasury, where we have made applications for condonations, and investigations are also ongoing. Department is working with police as well as with the SIU to make sure that those cases are expedited, to ensure that we clean the historic book. On empowerment and transformation as well, we have it in our annual performance plan, our targeted contribution towards women, youth, and disability, as indicated on the slide. So those are implemented through our programs in various provinces. Through the grants, we prioritize also local procurement. That is done through our implementing agents, as well as the construction unit, where they are sourcing their materials locally, also guided by the National Treasury Chief Procurement Officer and the Department of Trade Industry on local procurement. We also have various strategic partnerships. The department and industry, we are working together, and those partnerships include mining houses, the agricultural sector, and all those other stakeholders that were referred to in the earlier presentation. The next question that we had to respond to relate to the 2.1 billion allocated toward AMD and other capital projects. Those projects are depicted there. They are being implemented in various provinces. In total, it is 1.4 billion, with 682 million being allocated towards project implementation, engineering, and support services within the water trading entity. 2.1 billion is being transferred to the water trading entity to augment own revenue, which is generated through the sale of water. This is just an indication of where these projects are, the augmentation projects in various provinces. We also have the turnaround and financial recovery plan, which we are consistently implementing as approved by Parliament when we presented the turnaround, to make sure that the department is on the right footing with regard to financial management. Those plans include, amongst others, the audit action plans, which are aimed at achieving a clean audit. We've also made progress on disciplinary and investigation matters related to financial misconduct. There is detailed presentation on those. We are also working on ensuring that our annual performance plans are aligned with procurement plans, project implementation plans, including regular monitoring thereof. We can also confirm that we haven't experienced any incidents of unauthorized expenditure, and there is significant reduction on irregular expenditure. Incidents that are currently being recorded relates to prior year contracts where the department has also developed exit plans, and we have applied to National Treasury for condonation of those incidents. There are also credit control measures on the recovery of debt owed to the water trading entity. There are also intergovernmental engagements. We've managed to enter into repayment agreements to the value of 2.4 billion in the past financial year with various municipalities to ensure that we have credit control and systems in place to recover those funds. We also, Chairperson, attend to the issues raised by the Office of the Auditor General. They've raised various issues on unfunded accruals, payables, and overdraft in the previous financial years. And those we have addressed, there are no longer issues around going concerns, and the remaining issues that relates to controls are also being attended to. Thank you very much. And I will then hand over to my colleague to summarize the grant funded projects.
The next section will be presented by Toko Sigwaza, who's our acting DDG for Water Services.
Thank you, DG, Chairperson, and honorable members, Minister and DMs, good morning. With regard to the grant-funded projects, this is a very huge portfolio in terms of infrastructure development and management in the department. These grant-funded are commonly known as RBIC and WISIG. We have 526 projects that are currently in the pipeline for the 22-23 financial year. 387 of these projects are in construction, and 137 will be completed by end of March. And 2 of them are intervention in the VAL section 63, intervention in Mfuleni, and the other one is the Gyani water services intervention. Chairperson, the projects are divided into mega, the large and small, with the mega projects being above a billion rand. So the committee requested us to talk only on 2 mega projects, although we have 8 in our annual performance plan. The details of all the projects are in the annual performance plan, and they are covered up from page 254 to 267, those 526 projects. I will just highlight those critical one, Chairperson. The first one is the OR Tambo KSD, a project which supplies Umtata bulk town. This used to be known as a presidential intervention project, and it supported the Umtata town with the bulk water supply system, and also the development of regional scheme extending to cover 5 development corridors in the OR Tambo area. And there are various components of the projects. They are listed in the presentation, and the beneficiaries are in the OR Tambo district and in King Sabata Dalinjebo local municipality. The phases of the projects are almost at 3 phases are almost at 99%, and the project cost is 2.5 billion. And our commitment as the department is 1.7 billion with the other funding from the municipality. The second mega project, Chairperson, is the Valhamahara Regional Water Supply Scheme, which is an upgrade of the existing Valhamahara scheme. And the project mainly covers the mining houses in the area, and it involves the construction of a gravity pipeline between Roscoe and Black Rock. It's in the Northern Cape, and the beneficiary is the Hamahara local municipality, and the implementing agent is Citibank Water. The project is almost complete, and with the total project cost at 1.4 billion, and there is no allocation in this financial year because we are closing the project. Chairperson, this is the phase 1 of the project. The phase 2 will be following soon. It's going to be a partnership between the department and the mining houses. Then those were the two mega projects which are above $1 billion each. And I'm then moving to the large regional bulk infrastructure project. In the Eastern Cape, we are supporting the Gyani municipality and with a bulk water supply for the Gyani area. The project is divided into various phases. It started in 2010, and it will be complete by May 2023. And it has a budget of 421 million rand. For this year, 60 million is committed. 9 of the 14 contracts have completed their construction component. The project will support Gyani and Engobo local municipalities. The second project in Eastern Cape is East Water Supply Project, which is supplying the 6.6 megaliters per day of potable water. The idea is to increase, to move from the communal stand taps to connection and increase the demand in the system. It will benefit Amatola District Municipality and Marshall Local Municipality. It is at 27% completion, and the budget is 508 million. And we have completed this year. They have been allocated 15. The next project is known as the water transport.
Hello, can Togo, can you hear me? Minister DM, you can see our injury time, big time. We have gone beyond our time. I just wanted to say to Togo, can she try to summarize, just because we do have slides, if you can just pick up on the main things that she want to say, and if we could be done by at least 10:30. I don't know whether that can be communicated to her.
That's noted. Togo, to understand that.
There are some guidelines regarding
Togo.
And it's important if you do buy secondhand to do a little check.
I will check DG quickly.
Yeah, we'll phone DG. What do they say?
Hello, Minister, can you hear us?
Yes, please. Togo should need to listen. Yeah.
I think you went on mute.
We have 8 minutes.
When did you lose us, Minister?
Yes, we can hear you. Be guided, please, by the chair of the meeting of SCORE. Thank you.
At what point did you lose us?
Let's do up to DG. I was saying that you're already on injury time. As I had said, I wanted us to please finish it.
Should Togo start again, Minister?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Up to 10:30, Can we try to pick up to 10:30? You'll have an opportunity to explain some of these things once the members have raised the questions. Hey, thank you.
We can hear you now.
Okay, Chairperson, Minister, apologies.
So it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Chairperson, Minister, I'm starting again.
Yes, but
no, 5 minutes to round off, Togo. 5.
Oh.
Okay, let me go there.
Yeah, if we can go to the questions that were asked by SCORE to answer towards the end, DG.
Okay.
Those questions towards the end.
Okay. I'm going to skip the detail on the projects and come to, we were asked to give some progress on the priority projects, the Gyani project, the Hammanskraal water challenges, and the Vaal intervention. On the Gyani bulk water project, there's some history about the project here. It describes what the project includes. It indicates that there's been a history of this project of a number of delays. There's also been an SIU investigation into the project, which is still in process, and various measures have been taken as a result of the SIU investigation. There's been weaknesses with the management of the project in the past, and the project is way behind schedule, but we are taking measures to address the past mistakes and to accelerate progress. We've addressed the design faults in the project and redesigned the project better. And we've also taken steps to strengthen the project management of the project, including seconding two of our chief directors to the Lepeli Northern Water to help it to accelerate progress. With regard to the Hammanskraal, the wastewater treatment works, in a nutshell, the projects are underway, but the Tshwane Metro Municipality is indicating that it doesn't have sufficient funding to finish the upgrades of the wastewater treatment works. The wastewater treatment works need to be upgraded because their effluent is polluting the source of water which is used for the water supply. We've had engagements with National Treasury and the Department of Human Settlements about this issue. National Treasury have indicated that the grants that go through human settlements are sufficient for City of Tshwane to complete the upgrading of the wastewater treatment works, and we'll be indicating that to Tshwane in writing. And we are hoping to get to get it in order of court that Tshwane must use those grants to complete the upgrading of the wastewater treatment works. In terms of the intervention in the Vaal, it is underway. This slide gives some indications. There is work happening on the ground. There are contractors addressing the old sewage mains which have been bursting, and the sewage leakages into people's homes has been greatly reduced as a result of this work. Preparations are underway for the much bigger projects which involve upgrading the wastewater treatment works, and particularly the major wastewater treatment works in the area. With regard to the bucket eradication project, it is also underway. It has also had delays in the past, partly because of an unintended consequence of the changes in government and the movement of the sanitation function between different departments, different entities being responsible for its implementation. But it is now on track. The figures are given here in the presentation, and our targets are to eradicate the remaining buckets. The contractors are on the ground working in the two provinces of the Free State and the Northern Cape by March next year. In terms of transformation and water use authorization, we are putting a lot of work into improving the turnaround times for water use licenses, and we are also focusing as well on measures to make sure that greater amounts of water use licenses are issued to previously disadvantaged, historically disadvantaged individuals. We are also in the process of transforming irrigation boards into water use associations. There is progress in that regard. It's a slow and complex process, but it is going to be a major focus area for us moving forward. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, DG. Thank you, Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister. Yeah, we're already on penalty shootout. I think what we'll then do, I'll request the honourable members. You know how we do it. The Minister, DG, DM, you'll be taking the questions as we put them. After the questions, then we'll request that you come back and respond to those questions. And that will allow you to also emphasize on certain issues that you were not able to because of the time constraint. Honourable members, can I have indications of who would like to interact with the presentation?
Mary.
Honorable Mare,
Chair, Honorable Sarupin, please.
Honorable Sarupin,
Matafa.
Honorable Matafa, honorable members, I'm listening. Honorable members, I've got Honorable Mare, I've got Honorable Sarupin, I've got Honorable Matafa.
Kaiso.
Honorable Kaiso. Honorable members? Okay. You know that we have got 5 minutes maximum. I'm on my stopwatch. Honorable Mare, please start.
1 minute, sir. Thank you so much. It's actually disturbing to hear that 39% of municipalities' waterworks is actually in disarray. But I'm glad to hear, and thank you for the report on certain projects that for a long time I have been standing still, or there were problems that hopefully it's going to be solved now in the next financial year and it gets done. I just want to ask as well, is there a long-term vision in the sense of water supply for the whole of South Africa? And I just want to give you one example, and this is really a long-term vision, and it's a major project. The Orange River and the Vaal River, they've got dams in like the Vaal Dam, and they've got the Gariep Dam and Van der Kloof Dam. But where they get together, those two rivers, is at Douglas. Is there any plans in the long term to build another massive dam for actually agricultural purposes and for residential purposes after Douglas? Because there's only one tiny small dam after that, and all the water coming down, and even with this wonderful rains, it's going to waste down to the sea. And a long-term vision, if there's a plan, actually to build another dam in that area. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mare. Honorable Sarupin, please come in.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. And in the same vein as Honorable Mare, South Africa is a water-scarce country. And when Nomvula Mokonyane was the Premier of Gauteng many, many years ago, she pointed out that the province is at risk of running out of water by 2022. We've now hit that point. We haven't thankfully run out of water, but it is one of those situations. And so water is becoming an increasing problem and an increasing scarce resource. We've seen towns in the Eastern Cape without water for weeks at a time. Nelson Mandela Bay is about to hit ground zero. So I'd like to understand if the department is looking at, in the long term, investing in water augmentation projects where rainfall is not filling up dams, for example. Firstly, building more dams and in catchment areas so that we don't have water scarcity. And then with regard to Nelson Mandela Bay specifically, I'd like to get an understanding of what support is presently being provided to Nelson Mandela Bay, considering that they are anywhere between 30 and 60 days to day zero, and how the municipality is responding to that support, if at all, and if they've been released any funding, if their funding is actually being spent on the right things. I think that it's critically important that we get a full understanding, Chair, of what the long-term planning for water is, but more importantly, beyond the MTEF, what the department is conceptualizing in terms of water security for the country. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Honorable Sarupin. Honorable Matafa, please come in.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Minister and DMs, DG and Team Water and Sanitation. Chair, let me thank the presenters for the good presentation. I think the presentation really responded very well to the questions that we had as a committee. Just say for one question that I have, and I'll just make two comments. The question is to understand what is the status of the creditors book of the department, especially as it pertains to the 30 days cycle or invoices that are within the 30-day cycle. And maybe, okay, there's a second one. The second one is on the issue of the budget eradication program. I have noted that on slide 37, under the summary of allocations, it is covered. But can we as a committee just have a understanding if whether has the department given itself a timeline by when will the bucket system be completely eradicated? And maybe just to comment the measures that are going to be implemented by the department to curb slow spending and under expenditure. This has been a point of contention for quite some time, and it is very encouraging to see that indeed there are efforts that are being made to ensure that all the allocations are going to be spent and spent prudently as well, because there are also actions that are indicated that will be used to deter maladministration and malfeasance. And we also want, maybe in closing, to commend the department for taking action where malfeasance and maladministration is suspected, because that is also one of the weak areas of the state where there are issues of maladministration, fraud, and corruption that are happening with impunity. We hope that the process undertaken.
Comrade Clara, please, can you please mute your gadgets? Sorry, Honorable Matafa.
No problem. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, no, it was my last statement to say that we hope that the process undertaken to clarify the allegations against the DDG will be resolved swiftly and speedily, so that whatever responsibility that is carrying are not disrupted. But we just wanted to commend the work and efforts that the department is making to ensure that all the allocations are prudently spent. Thank you very much, Chair. Those are my only two questions. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Matafa. Honorable Kaiso, please come in.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Chair, let me commend the attendance of both the Minister and the Deputy Ministers to this meeting. Actually, they've always done so previously. The executive have managed to come and respond to the meetings that the committee has called them to come and respond. And firstly, let me commend also the good responses that we received, positive ones, especially with regard to attending to, the vacant situations in the department, as well as the interventions that have been highlighted in as far as Machabeng, Mangaung, and Mkanyakude is concerned. So now I want to come at this point, Chair. Yes, of course, the 14 million people who do not have access to clean water should remain a concern, of which I believe it is through the program that is unfolding, it will receive a necessary attention, immediate attention, as part of ongoing program. I'm saying this in the light of, a development of, pandemic in the country. So, and as well as, a necessary requirement of, water supply generally for people to access it. But now I also want to go to, well, I didn't see the breakdown of the bucket system in terms of, the provinces. It was just general that now in the Northern Cape and Free State, etc. But I think it was also necessary that we see a breakdown of this bucket system, so that we were able to see where actually this problem is going, is taking us to, so that next time we're able to ask about that particular 5 or 10 in the Free State or in the Northern Cape. Now, the other question that I want to go to is the issue of water harvest program. Because I hear the report, Honorable Chair, does make reference to, to water challenge in the country. But I just want to know, out of interest, is there any water harvest program that will assist the country to save water? You know, because I mean, during rains and geographically, as you look around our country, one would imagine that we should be having a way to harvest water deliberately to deal with the issue of water crisis in the country. But I do not have that sense unless maybe in the presentation I missed something, and I would welcome that to be reminded. On slide 42, there is on slide 43, I've seen there is a way to address the issue of, gender transformation and as well as disability. There is a good breakdown when it comes to procurement. But on slide 42, I don't know whether is it deliberate that I do not see the same breakdown when it comes to the empowerment programming as far as training in the engineering skills for youth, the disabled and women. I think it's important that that trend should be retained, by the department in this report. It should have reflected actually that much as we are paying particular attention with regard to having skills, providing skills, we are also particularly focused on the issue of gender transformation as well as disability. So I just wanted to get those few clarities. Other than that, Chair, I think the department has tried to a greater extent respond to in detail in some instances in the report. Thank you very much, Chair.
My chairperson.
Yes. Want to comment?
My apology. I'm sure when you were starting to request the members to raise their hand, I was out because nature called. I wanted to raise something not big.
Please do that, Honorable Dechale.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and my apology for not muting my phone. I was not aware. My apology, Chairperson. I want to start by greeting my chairperson and all my colleagues, the minister and the department, and also to say I'm joining my colleagues in welcoming the presentation. I was touched by the 20,000 jobs that they have created. And now in my mind, I was saying in this area of Mangwen cluster, whereby water is just a problem, even on the underground, there is no water. So you would have a borehole whereby in the long run, the borehole is dry. But then there was a big water project which was coming from that side of Nandoni Dam. I don't know how many years it has been stuck in the area of Hoshadi Mamabolo, whereby it is called Hwareng. And even today, we don't see any movement of trying to assist the village that the pipe was supposed to pass through. So in the meantime, the department, the municipality is trying to assist the area with trucks of water. But then it's a problem because you find that in a week's time is one truck in many villages. So, Chairperson, I want to repeat that we really welcome the determination of the department. They are working in the presentation. I could hear that they are seriously working. But then my problem is underspending. With this money that the department is always underspending, if they can buy more trucks in an area such as this one, whereby I just talked about it, Mangwen cluster, and assist these people with the trucks, I'm sure because our people, most of them have got license, they will be able to increase these 20,000 jobs that they have created. And also they will be able to assist these villages. It's just a problem, Chairperson, in this cluster. It's just a problem. So that's what I wanted to request to the department, that how about they take care of this money that they always underspend and make sure that they utilize it, at least whereby the trucks will be able to go to town and fetch water, bring it to the village. That will assist. And also to take care of the water pipe that started way back in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dihale. Apologies accepted. Honorable Mare, can I check? Is there something that you'd like to add?
Marie, yes, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm always very quick. I want to the DG, and I would love if you can engage me at one stage outside this meeting, because I want to keep everybody here with my time. But I just want to bring to his attention that my constituency is Saldanha Bay constituency. That is the end of the Berg River. And because of the IDZ, the demand for water is increasing and increasing what is happening here with development. And down the Berg River system, and the West Coast District Municipality is responsible for the bulk water supply. And we've got a problem with the Misverstand Dam, and that is not a dam, it's actually more an Afrikaans, a keerwal. It's not that sufficient high, it's built in the 70s. And then the water facilities that's done by the West Coast District Municipality is not sufficient going forward. So there must be a medium plan solution going forward. And I'd really like to bring it to his attention, and I would welcome at some stage an engagement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mare. I'm sure the minister and the team, they do welcome bilaterals with the honorable members where they want to raise specific issues so that we together try to solve those problems. DG, I'm sure you'll try and have your bilateral in whatever way with Honorable Mare. Honorable Sarupen, do you have something to add?
Yes, Chair, I do. I actually do want to say this, and that is, considering the state of this department in the last couple of years and all of the challenges, I do welcome that today the department has shown us that they've started turning things around. And I look forward to continued improvement in the following years as we interrogate their budgets. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Sarupen. Honorable Matafa.
Thank you very much, Chair. I am covered. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Matafa. Honorable Kaiso.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just quickly, two things. I just want to raise this one. I'm sure Deputy Minister Mashova would understand this from where I come from. The issue of Maluti Apofu. I don't know why it doesn't feature here as well, because it used to be one biggest problem in the province, that the shortage or supply of water to the communities around that municipalities. I'm not sure why it doesn't also feature well in this program that is unfolding. Secondly is the issue of licenses. Sometimes we tend to focus much on the large commercial farms when you talk about the issue of accessibility of water. But then I want to agree with my colleague, Honorable Dihale, that perhaps the issue of small emerging farmers is very key as well, because they play part in as far as also job creation. But then when it comes to licensing, I wonder, does the department has a good indication of accessibility by African farmers, small farmers, in particular, in as far as water licensing is concerned? I don't know how is that situation has come to the attention of the department. Do they have also access in as far as licensing as small emerging farmers? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kaiso. Honorable Dihale, do you want to add something?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I forgot something. Thanks that you allowed us to come back. There is some times whereby in a church when we are praying, one would just raise up a hand and say, let's pray for the problem of water in our villages. So I'm saying this because we have seen the department that deals with communications. They managed to raise funds to assist the ones that cannot be able to afford to buy DSTV. They are trying to assist them with that. They're giving them the free DSTVs. So I'm saying this because there is one other guy who once raised funds and tried to assist these people with water tanks, whereby during this time of rainy time, people are able to harvest water. So my request would be that can the department then try, especially with this money that they always return it back to Treasury, try and identify these families and assist them with water tanks so that in times of problems, they then resort to rainwater. Chair, thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dihale. Before I come in, I take it that there's no other oral member who would like to come in. Let me come in, and let me start by again. Thank you so much, Minister. I'll join my colleagues by thanking you, the Deputy Minister, DG, and the whole DWS family. This is a very important portfolio for the government in general and for us who deal with the appropriation for a number of reasons. But in my introduction, I did say that we're talking about life here. We can afford, perhaps we can live with load shedding, but water shedding definitely shouldn't be an option, and it's not an option. Also, I think, Minister, let's commend you for filling the very important post. The implications of, especially at senior level, at senior management level, implications of empty posts are just too huge, mainly for service delivery. They're just too huge. So it's good that they are there, and we are hoping that they will hit the tarmac running, so that we make sure that the service delivery to our people is being delivered at a lightning speed and at the most efficient and cost-effective way. And also welcome the posture which is being taken by the minister. The Minister of Water and Sanitation, from where we are seated, is the custodian of all the water and water-related issues in our country. If you talk about water problems and water challenges, people don't know a certain person in a certain municipality. They look at a Minister Mthun Macingwane. So when there are problems of water, it's good that we move away from this thing of working in silos to try and coordinate our effectiveness. Abantu, they talk about Hulmin, and that's it. The luxury of saying, no, this is an area of provincial or national or local government. They don't have that luxury. They look at you, Macingwane, for the satisfaction of this very important public good, so to speak. So I think the posture that you are taking, that wherever and whenever there are problems, the department should be seen to be there, should be encouraged, and will be encouraged by the Standing Committee on Appropriation. We would also like to say to the department, please just share with us what is happening around the floods in KZN and how have they affected the ability of government to deliver water, and what is being done about that at the moment. Again, we know that there's a tendency of people of some companies who don't want to pay for services and for water. We would also like to know, we're interested in those rands and cents. how much are the water boards and municipalities owed by different sectors, for instance, sometimes by government itself, as we see in electricity, but by the private sector, but most importantly as to what is being done around that. Perhaps let me also latch on to what Honorable Kais has spoken about, just the question of Black farmers, emerging farmers, access to water. About 2 years ago, I was in Beckville, and there's a Woodstock dam there. Oral Mashabo, I've raised this before, you'd remember, where people were saying, we're seeing water here, but all the water it's going to Gauteng. And they said to us, you know, one day we're going to block this water because we are only bystanders and we are seeing water going to Gauteng. And most of those people were emerging farmers. So the question is, any collaboration with the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development around these things to make sure that the water that is there, our people do have access to water. They don't just form a guard of honor and allow water to pass through and clap hands after that. What are we doing? I've used the area of Woodstock Dam in Beckville. And from where I'm seated, I would like to get a feedback here, Minister, as a committee, that this has been sorted out. The people there can access that water. I'm using that as an example, and there are many other such instances. Honorable Mashobo, you know, again, my pet project, the Jozini Dam. What's happening with the Jozini Dam? Abantu basengwavuma phezulu lapha sebeyakwazi ukuthola amanzi. Abantu basemanyiseni phezulu bayakwazi ukuthola amanzi. There's a big dam there, which at some stage played a very reactionary role, and we wanted to see it. I'll talk about why I'm saying reactionary role. But now there's water, and are those people having access to that water? And let's have time frame for those things. We shouldn't have open-ended things. You spoke about the DG, you spoke about your assets at different places. I'm not sure whether I saw the value of those assets. If you could just help us about how do they reflect on your balance sheet? Again, the question of this district development model, would like to know what is it that you have achieved, which you wouldn't have achieved before the implementation of DDM, as far as improving water and sanitation service delivery. I can't run. Moy River is my constituency, one. And a lot, as you know, that it's a farming area, and the people there are saying there's a lot of water around, but we don't have water as farmers, and again as the residents. I'm not sure whether you are aware. And Moy River is such an important place in the whole economy of South Africa. You would have seen what happens when there are disturbances there. One of the things they complain about is the accessibility of water. I'm saying you'd have seen what happens when they block the N3. So the economy literally comes to a standstill. The goods can't reach Durban from inland, but again, goods from Durban can't pass Moy River. So for me, it's one area that, as far as broadly speaking, economic reconstruction is concerned, but when it comes to water, which is a main artery for economic development, I think it's very important that we attend to that. I would like to hear if we do have plans. I can't leave this one off underspending. And before I make my point, I would definitely be requesting the political office through the minister that they stay closer to this one. For whatever reason, underspending in a situation like ours in South Africa of 2.5 billion rand is just too huge. We can't go out and explain that explain that to our people who are first and foremost are denied of very important service delivery. But there are many implications of underspending. Money is very expensive. What am I saying about that? Is that, as you know, that in this country runs a deficit. It means we borrow money. So if we borrow money and don't use that money, it's a big cost to the economy. It's a big cost to our fiscus. It's a big cost to treasury. So we would like this happening. Also, there's what we'll call opportunity cost as far as employment creation is concerned, economic recovery is concerned, poverty is concerned. So it's not just a figure which we should be able to report on. It has got huge implications on the lives of our people. So I'm requesting that at least, Honorable Minister, would like to see that, when the ideal ones that want that no underspending, but would like to see the substantial decrease of that figure. Yeah, about the VAL project. I can't remember when we started talking about the challenges of the VAL. Minister will remember there was a time when we were talking about the involvement of the Defense Force, and we all felt that perhaps here the solution was coming. So for me, these projects which go to the heart of project management, can we have the end date for this project where we'll come out and tell the people first and foremost of the Valley Fuleni and the people of South Africa that yes, we had a challenge here. We've put our resources, both human and capital resources, together to solve. So this problem is solved now. Do we have time frames? Project management it's about having the start and the end of the project. Projects which are open-ended, definitely they reflect back on all of us. This also talks to the bucket eradication system. Again, this has been a standing item in all the meetings of government. And I heard DG saying that by the end of March 2023, that will be the thing of the past. Again, it's something where we should say, yes, that's the challenge that we had. We've engaged on this one. Money has been allocated. And then we come 31 March 2023, we see the minister standing saying, we had this problem. This thing of the bucket system, it's something of the past. It's so dehumanizing to our people. So we need to prioritize that and make sure that we do have a day. And definitely, if a Department of Water and Sanitation finishes this one, and then I'll be the first one to support a party of some sort where we should celebrate that. And that will also indicate taking our people out of poverty. It's very dehumanizing. So I'm just saying that we'll definitely be holding you to this date, DG, as we have said. Honourable Minister, again, we're coming back to you to respond to the issues that have been raised by the honourable members, and it'll only bring back the meeting back to me once you are satisfied that everything has been attended to. If there are things that perhaps the department would like to go and reflect on, because we don't just want convenient answers. If the answers are not here, we also welcome that the department say, no, we'll come back on this one with a written response. Honourable Minister, I'm back to you. You'll see how you then allocate your soldiers in dealing with these different issues raised by the honourable members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shenge. I would like dear Mahlobo to deal with KZN floods. And I would like DG to deal with the data spook, the buckets under expenditure and corruption, and then unpack the allocation to provinces and also to buckets in the provinces. But dear Mahlowa, other than KZN floods, will also fill up the gaps wherever he thinks he needs to fill up. Now, number one, on the Vaal River dams, both Harib and Van der Vaart, whether we're thinking of any other dam. Yes, we are thinking of another dam, but at the moment, we are just listening to or considering proposals from other stakeholders who have approached us with some ideas. We are open to that and flexible to that, and we're listening and considering what is being said before we come up with a decision. But whether we are open to that, we are, and I look into simply because of a system. The Back River, we can discuss that on the sidelines of the meeting with the Honorable Murray. But we have been to the Back River Canal, where we're building a canal, which was prayed for by provincial government of the Western Cape, and we're moving according to plan and time frame on that canal, raising the wall for the farmers to benefit there. But we will look at what Murray is asking or is checking with us. And then Gauteng Water, last year in September, we met with the Honorable Minister of Water in Lesotho, my counterpart, Honorable Minister Mosenene. We discussed phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, and that is underway. From time to time, there would be this and that hitch, either on their side as government of Lesotho or on our side. There are a few things that are emerging. We are going to be dealing with those problems, but the agreement and outcome in that meeting was that we need to move fast in terms of phase 2 of that, so that we catch up with 2027, which is the predicted time during which or in which water will begin to be a problem in Gauteng if nothing gets done. And then Nelson Mandela Bay. There's been 7 years of drought there, with a very or no rain at all. Now that municipality gets water from 2 systems, one in the south and one in the east and one in the west. And the west one, we received a boost via Nooit Gedacht pipeline. That is water from Harib, tunnels, rivers, and all of that. And finally, we got the first drop out of that system with the refurbished and upgraded water treatment plant of Nelson Mandela Bay, belonging to the municipality. Quite a huge development. We got the first drop from there end of March, which was adding 70 megaliters to the system in Nelson Mandela Bay. Ordinarily, we should be okay with that addition. But the problem with Nelson Mandela Bay is governance over an extended period of time. And whatever decision they take, they need to take. They don't take, or they don't take it on time. And this has impact in terms of planning for water and particularly supply to communities and to business. It is for this reason, for instance, they should have long taken a decision on the plan to pipe water from the east to the western side of the city or municipality, where there's a bit of a crisis because of the water levels in all the dams in that system, that supply that system. It is for that reason that we've had to take a decision to intervene in Nelson Mandela, which we have signed, and we are expecting concurrence from the Premier in particularly, and from Minister of Culture. But it is inevitable that we intervene there long before things become even hotter on day zero, as is predicted. We need to get to the space, be able to take necessary decisions, especially on restrictions, because the lessons learned from Western Cape dictate that one of the measures you have to take when facing this kind of challenge is action and on time and appropriate to addressing the decision. And in this instance, there must be restrictions which the municipality is unable to decide on, and other decisions that get necessary to be taken. But because of governance issues, they are unable to sit at times for extended periods and so on. But we are looking at Nelson Mandela Bay, and we will be going there probably in the next week or that other week. But we are interacting and are involved with them on the matter. The President of the Republic is also interested in the matter. We are due to brief him any time from now or any day from today. Then the data from Honorable Tiny, the DG will deal with those and budget unpacking. On empowerment programs, DG did a report on licenses, how we are dealing with that matter. But I think the question was on women, youth, and disabilities. We are following all the policies of the country in terms of employment, in terms of opportunities, but we need to do more to these categories of our society. We have a training center which is functional and assisting young people to get high-level training. People, and it is sensitive to gender, and our recruitment sensitive to gender. But generally through CFO, you did see how we are dealing with the economy of water and therefore contributing to recovery of the economy post COVID, but also generally the growth of the economy in the country via the water sector. There's a huge contribution. Another time we may want to come back just to take you through on that. But we're particularly interested in dealing with our dams and the economy, because we realize that on tourism, on employment, there's a lot in each dam that can be done with various models for that. Nandoni, the village, we will check what's happening, but I must assure you that in June, we will be back in Nandoni to reticulate water for communities around, providing standpipes in each family. And that's apart from upgrading or building another water treatment plant there to pump more water from the dam. And apart from Nandoni Nsami to Gyani, we will be doing Maluta Pofung. We have, I think 4 weeks ago, we signed a directive to Bloom Water to intervene in Maluta Pofung. That is on course. We will be providing water and we'll be providing you with details in terms of timeframes and money required. licenses and tanks, DG will come back to deal with that, but we are interacting with the farmer organizations on this to discuss and deal with their concerns. Mahlobo will deal with floods. Josini Dam, Shenga, I know that is close to your hearts, some of your life in those areas, Manyisen and Gwavum. We are from there, and we have held 10 meetings on water and our intention to intervene in the whole of Mkhanyakude because of history that says that you have a dam, but you have grievances, growing grievances, cries and voices from there complaining about inaccessible water from Josini Dam by communities there. We then engaged with them and told them we're intervening. And because we're seeing these gaps in the municipality as a water authority, they are unable to play that role. On last Friday, we were there. We were now presenting projects per ward that will see 6,000 people, households in Mhlabialingana municipality getting provided with water on one hand. And then in Josini municipality, you will see 3,000 families, more than that, getting water. That covers Gwavuma and Manyisen. We are going to, we have appointed Mhlatuza Water Board to be our implementing agent. And so we briefed Amakosi there, we briefed the municipality, we briefed everybody. It's now up to us to just roll out our plans. And that is being adequately addressed. We will, in due course, deal with Sabisa and Tuba, including on water resources going to the south. DDM has potential, but it requires functional municipalities, because no matter how you drum DDM, if the municipality is on a sneeze and on a stomach, you won't get anywhere. While efforts are being made to deal with municipalities, on the other hand, we're using partnerships. Partnerships have really proved to be quite a reliable pillar and a strategic way of doing things. More and more companies are coming on board, partnering with us on provision of water, including reticulation. While in Limpopo, and there is a company that wants to have partnership with us while we're here, and we're hoping we'll have a chat with them and so on. Moi River, there's Spring Grove there, which was completed, I think, some 5 years ago. We do understand there's a community that was removed, and therefore they are far from some area, some farm there, and they are far from water. And some black farmers around Moi River also are short of water. When we do Umgungundlovu district, we will ensure that we cover that area. There's a pending appointment or work session with Umgungundlovu district. Since the elections, we haven't had time to go there. We will be going there. Mfuleni, we are very much were satisfied to happy about our latest intervention in Mfuleni, starting in July, August last year via Rainwater. I have had a session myself with the chair and the CE there. DM Mahlobo is designated to deal there in partnership with Gauteng to deal with our processes there. But there are various issues. But now I think we are very well positioned to decisively deal with Mfuleni, including making up for the time lost via other interventions. 2 weeks ago, one newspaper made an acknowledgement that there is a difference and there is progress, and we're capitalizing on that. We ourselves are determined not to put ourselves and the country and government under the bus as far as this is concerned. So we're on course. It's a question of cleaning cleaning residential areas, and then opening up pipes, and then fixing all the pump stations and all the waterworks there, and wastewater works, and then the system goes, and then we go to the dam itself and clean the floor and all of that floor of the dam. I'll stop there and allow DM and then DG to come in. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. Thanks, Sheng, and the entire leadership of the committee. Just to indicate that with respect to the floods in KZN and the other areas, in KZN, Minister created an institutional mechanism there, and that mechanism, it includes the province, ourselves, Umgeni Water, including the municipalities, called a war room for water. And we need to indicate that the damage is very, very extensive, and bulk infrastructure very destroyed, including secondary infrastructure, including the reticulation system, especially around the eThekwini. And assessments have been done, and through the DG and COGTA, our submission has been made to the National Disaster Management Center of what needs to be done there. We have to report that when it comes to bulk, in the main, the system has been stabilized. There was a time when the water availability was very low. Ordinarily, eThekwini received more than 800 megaliters a day, which is more than 800 million liters. At a particular point, we're down as around 340 megaliters. And our system, through Umgeni, working very hard, they've managed to push the system now. The water availability in the system is more than 520 megaliters. That's what is happening right now. And in as much as we have so much water being available, there are still two main systems. I call them Aquatat 1 and 2. We have lost more than 280 million liters a day that needs to be available, and Umgeni is trying to restore that system. But in the main, the restoration of the system around the south, that includes the hospital, that side, and the other areas, those issues have been attended to. eThekwini still have a major problems around water losses. They are losing a lot of water, and our teams are supporting them around issues of fixing of the leaks with plumbers and artisans, because water is being restored. But there are certain communities, especially the northern region that includes Otongati, Verulem, and the other areas. Those are some of the areas that remain affected by the floods. And in the short term, the team led by the team of the minister supporting eThekwini and the province, they've been doing water cutting. A number of water cuts have been provided by the Defense Force, ourselves, COGTA, eThekwini itself, Umgeni. They are cutting water. There were issues about the cutting issues around how the system was being managed in terms of disturbances by certain communities doing water hawking. But the system is being improved now. But at the very same time, the instruction by minister is very clear that water cutting is not a sustainable solution. Where infrastructure is working, they are starting to actually refill some of the reservoirs. But in certain instances, we're also looking at reviving some of the system like Utongati water treatment works and the other system they are looking them. There's been a lot of progress, but there are those communities, we must admit, leadership, that they have not been having a constant water supply for more than a month. It's nearly 2 months now. And then the rains over the last few days, they've been very hard. An assessment is still being made, because in certain instances, some of the work that has been being done is being affected. especially in the northern side, including Umdloti and those particular areas. But we are working closely with those communities. We have a lot of meetings that since the president has gone there, minister has gone there, more than actually four times. We've been on the ground actually going to those communities, interacting with them. But one of the things that we must commend is the private sector that has very come in handy. They have made a lot of contribution around providing water, but at the very same time, some they've also provided technical expertise. But we can come in, Chair, at a particular point when you need that particular detailed report. Well, the one minister has responded on the VAL, except that in the VAL, we need to indicate that in a number of sections, the sewer has been stopped in people's houses. But at the very same time, also sewer in a lot of volumes of sewer now is going to the treatment plant because the capacity of that treatment plant has been increased. But as we have said, ministers assigned MEC Mahir and myself, more work still needs to be done there, and we are increasing that particular capacity. The last point I needed to say, around issues of water security, apart from the views other members have said in augmentation issues, Minister has directed us that let's work with the entire sector as we agreed, first in the summit, that water reclamation and water reuse is going to be the most important thing that we need to do. There's a lot of wastewater that is available in South Africa. Wastewater must never be regarded as waste. It must be regarded as wealth. One of the things that Minister within around just within 3 meetings with Mkhalekwena here in Limpopo with private sector, the mine Ivy plants. For the first time, the mines are taking wastewater effluent. They are using them for their own operation. They actually have contributed. They are building a wastewater treatment plant on behalf of a municipality through this partnership that Minister has introduced. And it's going to save municipality a lot of money. And that wastewater, in other words, is called brown economy because we're using brown water. They will also be doing issues of providing raw water to the communities of Mkhalakwena. Even Pulogwane with another mining companies, they're looking at that. A week ago, we submitted a mine water policy for the department in the cabinet committees that cabinet must approve now. Because one of the biggest issues, mines, especially abandoned mines, there's a lot of water in the valley, in Mpumalanga, including some parts of KwaZulu-Natal when you go to Vryheid and those other areas down there, where mining has caused a lot of pollution to the water. The issues of treatment of mine water is going to be the most important issue. Working with the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, Forest, Fisheries and Environment, we are starting to say that water is available there and it must be used. And Minister has also insisted that we need to explore more groundwater. South Africa has a lot of groundwater. In Musina, where the Minister will be doing his visit, in the main, the supply is through groundwater there. And we should be able to use groundwater, especially in communities where water is not available. We are looking at a number of options where water can actually be found, because every drop of water counts, including the rainwater harvesting, Comrade Kais. Rainwater harvesting, very important, including the recharging of groundwater of the boreholes. It's a very important program, including the issues of desalination. Therefore, even the issues of building of new dams and new infrastructure, including those transfer scheme Minister speaking about, all the options are on the table because our water mix must be enhanced. I will stop there, sharing now, Minister, so that the DG and the team can handle some of the technical issues. Thank you.
DG, your part.
Thank you, Minister. Chairperson. On the issue of under expenditure, we agree with members that it's criminal for us to be returning money to the fiscus for the reasons given by the chairperson and because of the state of water and sanitation infrastructure in the country. Our assessment is that we have problems, we have weaknesses in the department with regard to project management and for the projects that we're responsible for with regard to procurement and supply chain management. Our procurement and supply chain management for our infrastructure and for the goods and services we buy for our construction unit is very inefficient and ineffective. So it's a focus area for the CFO and myself. We're going to put in place a procurement strategy as required by the Framework for Infrastructure Procurement and Development and Delivery Management issued by National Treasury. And that's going to be a major focus for us in the coming year. In addition, we're putting in measures to improve project management to make sure, for example, that we start planning projects a year before we need to start spending money on them. And the CFO and I will be having monthly expenditure versus budget reviews in the department to manage expenditure and make sure that if some projects are inevitably delayed, that we use the under expenditure on those projects to add more money to projects which are moving faster. With regard to the budget eradication program, we are the remaining buckets in informal settlements are in the Free State and the Northern Cape. Most of them in the Free State. There's about 500 left in the Northern Cape. The remainder in the Free State, about 10,300 in the Free State. It's those buckets, informal settlements, that we are committing to eradicate by the end of this financial year. We have very substantial budget allocation to do that of 504 million under the RBIG and 110 million under the Water Services grant. Chairperson, I should mention that this program is focused on eradicating buckets in formal settlements. In some areas of the country, municipalities are still issuing buckets in informal settlements. And we want to address that through the revised norms and standards for water and sanitation services to say that issuing buckets in informal settlements is not an acceptable form of temporary sanitation, and that other more acceptable forms of temporary sanitation should be used in informal settlements such as chemical toilets. The problem is, Chairperson, that sometimes when informal settlements are formalized by municipalities, then the buckets that were being used in the informal settlements carry on being used and they become formalized, and then we get new buckets arising in formal settlements. Hopefully that won't happen, and by the time we finish these remaining bucket eradication in Free State and Northern Cape, we can say that there's no more buckets in formal areas. Chairperson, you asked a question about the timeframes, overall timeframes for completion of the VAL project. Our implementing agent there is Rand Water. Yesterday, they sent me emailed me an updated timeframes for the program as a whole. And I'll look at that, Chairperson, and then send you the timeframes for the different elements of the VAL intervention program. I'd like to ask our CFO to come in to answer the question about the debtors and what we're doing about it and payment of suppliers within 30 days. Frans?
Thank you, DG. I'll start with the raw water debt. The preliminary figures that we are having as we close the 21-22 financial year reflects 24 billion as due to the water trading entity. And out of the 24 billion, I can confirm that water boards owe the department 7.6 billion, and municipalities as well as other departments owe the department 8.4 billion. How are we addressing those? We do have credit control measures. We enter into repayment agreements, plans with various water users. And we also have intergovernmental arrangements that we are working with COCTA, Treasury, SALGA to try and deal with some of the value chain that are affecting the non-payment by the various users. We have put together also incentive schemes where we encourage the water users to settle their debt early, and we offer them discounts as well as waiver of interest. And where we fail to recover, we do also refer for legal action for those who are delinquent. With regard to 30 days, Chairperson, I can confirm that we closed the financial year with 326 million worth of accruals and payables, which are over 30 days. And the reason for that, most of them relates to disputes and some of the historically unfunded projects, such as the oil leaks. We also have operations and maintenance, where the department has intervened within the Gyani Mopani area, where we are operating and maintaining schemes on behalf of municipalities. And we do have invoices that are owed to some of our water board, in this case being Lepelle Northern Water. There are continuous engagements to try and resolve these invoices. And we're also cautious not to pay invoices that are not substantiated or where there are still queries that are unresolved, as that would also result in audit queries as well. So that is the figure, Chairperson. And as I've indicated, those are anomalies, invoices that we are currently trying to resolve with our implementing agent. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'd also like to ask our acting DDG for regulation to, if he would like to add anything regarding the issuing of water use licenses, our efforts to allocate more water to previously disadvantaged farmers. Leonardo.
Okay, thank you, DG. I trust that I'm audible. I just wanted to answer the question with regards to the HDI license.
We can't hear you, Leonardo.
Okay, let me put on the switch on my camera. Can you hear me?
Chairperson, Leonardo seems to have a technical problem. So I will skip that one. That brings us to the chair.
Thank you so much, DG, Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister, for very insightful responses to the questions which were raised by the honourable members. Just on the last one, CFO, the 24 billion rand, if you could please just send that one in writing, who owes who, how much, and what's happening about that. If you could just send us that written response. I think what becomes very clear again from the DG's input is the question of the project management skills in government in general, not just in department. In fact, this is one area which is at the heart of underspending, failure to deliver projects on budget and within allocated time. From your previous deployment at public service and administration, I think it's one area that as government we need to look at if we really must be successful in service delivery. So, and in talking about the department now, WDS, I think it's also even very, very important. And the question of polluters, the principle of polluter pays. I think in most cases you have indicated the question of the mines and water there, but even our dams, if you look at the Val Dam, you find that a private sector always gets away on this one. There's what you call negative externality, that they should be paying for this thing. It shouldn't be government only. Polluter must pay for what they do because of the obvious implications. Yeah, DM, the question of intervention in KZN and the floods and so on, because we wanted to stay closer to that, because needless to say, it's got a lot of budgetary implications. Can we have that in writing? Thank you so much about the the information about what is happening around certain areas as far as water is concerned on Gundlov district, and obviously, as you said, that what's happening around the Jozini Dam and so on and so forth. I think would really love to steer closer to that as you make some strides, if there should be a way of just letting us know. And thank you, DM Mashobo. You promised me a long time ago that you'll definitely be getting closer to that. So one is able to see some progress. As I conclude this one, I think it's very clear. I think we, as the minister was saying, that perhaps we need to engage more about the role of water as far as economic growth is concerned. I think it's very important that we should have that engagement so that we are also educated from the people who are just at the heart of it. But for me, if there were students who wanted to have some thesis to research on, yes, indeed, the role of water in the economy, but as to how water was used to marginalize Black people and to economically disempower them, and how can we use water to empower and to empower Black people and to yes, to empower Black people and to make water part of our economic reconstruction. So I'm saying, I think it will be a very interesting research topic for people who would like to do some thesis around that. I don't know, Honourable Minister, whether you want to say something, because we're at the stage where we're saying we would like to excuse you so that you can go to the ground and ensure that our people do receive water and the question of sanitation is being attended to. Minister, can I give you the last word on this one? Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Shenge, and thank you very much to all honorable members for this opportunity. We really appreciate more than you could realize, Shenge, to be accountable and to be held accountable. We may not necessarily want it every day or every week, and it may not come and because of time and so on. But when we get it, we want to assure you that we want to account on every aspect, including on the ground, including finance, including our fight against corruption, everything that any good governance prescripts would want seen done by appointed people. And therefore, we appreciate this time, but assure you of our commitment going forward as well, that we are looking into obtaining a clean audit end of this financial year. That's our expectation from the accounting officer and from the CFO. In part, they are appointed for that, but deliver on the ground as well. We are hardly in the office, Shenge. From here, this afternoon we'll be in Gyani to hold others accountable, those that account to us, so that we see to it that the grievances of people on the ground are addressed properly. And thanks very much for your assistance and your proposals, and all the issues that have been raised here are taken seriously. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, and the team. You are excused, and rest assured that we see ourselves as partners to the executive with different responsibilities, because we have got the same client, the people of South Africa. Thank you so much. Indeed, you are excused. Honorable members, let's go to the minutes which were sent to us, the minutes of the 11th of May 2022. And we've read them. Can I have the mover for the adoption of the minutes?
Matafa, I move for adoption of the minutes, Chair. Thank you.
Matafa moves. Seconder?
Mlenzana, Chairperson, second.
Thank you, Honorable Melenzana, second. So no opposition to this one. So the minutes of the 11th of May, 2022 are duly adopted. Can we go to the minutes of the 17th of May, honorable members? They were also sent to us. Do I have a mover for the adoption of the minutes?
Yes, Mlenzana move.
I have Honorable Mlenzana moving for the adoption of the minutes of the 17th of May. Seconder?
Matafa, I second, Chair.
Honorable Matafa, second. So the minutes of the 17th of May 2022 are adopted. Thank you, honorable members. That takes care of agenda item number 5. We are going to agenda item number 6. Darren, do you have any announcements that you would like to make?
Chairperson, nothing really. Just a reminder, tomorrow we have a meeting at 9 o'clock with the Department of Employment and Labor. I'm going to send the link in the next half an hour. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darren. Honorable members, you see, when it comes to water and sanitation, as you can see, the implications of deliver or not or non-deliver are just huge to our people. And I think the department did very well. I think for us is to ensure that we stay closer to those processes. But thank you very much for raising all the issues that you have raised. I think they gave them some food for thought. And as we always say, this is a process. It's not an event. So we should keep on looking at these things so that one day we can come here and say A, B, C, D have been done. Thank you, honorable members. Our support staff, thank you very much. Everybody who was on the platform, you are most welcome. And I guess we are all wiser after the presentation from Department of Water and Sanitation. This brings us to the end of the meeting. We'll meet tomorrow. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Chairperson.
much, Chair.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and bye-bye, honorable members.
Re lebogile, Comrade Kgale.
Re leboga, pa.
Yebo, Mashile. Thank you.